Hi, yeah.
Shut up there. Oh, what happened to the weather?
No, was it nice and sunny in Windsor?
Oh, I don't know, it was too dark when I left.
Oh, of course it would have been, yeah. It was an early start for you this morning.
Oh my god, I felt so much better after I spoke to you. Because you know when you're like reading about things and you're watching things, but in your head you're like, well, how do I piece this together? So it's like a jigsaw, and I'm like, I've got all the pieces of the puzzle, and I'm like, right, okay, but how do I put this all together? And I think after I spoke to you, and obviously watching the assessment video on the way down, I was like, oh, okay, it's starting to make sense now, you know. It's like I had a girl yesterday for the first time, and she had lessons with a different instructor.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she had about 17 hours worth of lessons.
Right.
And she said, on my first lesson, he took me down the motorway. I went, no, motorway? Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And she had she just tried manoeuvres once. And that was it. And I'm like, after 17 hours, wow.
Yeah, again, you hear some absolute horror stories.
But it makes us all look bad, because she was saying it almost felt like he was just charging me and wanting me to do double lessons, but I wasn't learning anything in those double lessons, so it was like he was just wanting more and more money from me. And that really annoys me, because I think that just makes us all look like we're after the same thing. I mean, obviously money is a big part of it, but you've got to enjoy what you're doing, right? And you must certainly enjoy what you're doing, because how long have you been doing this for?
So, I forget, 17 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Over that sort of 2-year lockdown period, I just started to think, well, you know, I think there's a better way of doing ADI training than what I know to be, if you like, the traditional and I think old-fashioned approach.
Yeah.
Which obviously you've discovered for yourself,
Oh
by the sounds of it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's often, even with, I'm sure you know the term audit, do you? Have you come across that?
Yeah.
Even with audit registered trainers, often it's very, very, very regimented. It's very formulaic. It doesn't really take into account what you already know, what you can do, and any transferable skill sets. It's way, way overcomplicated, and what I found when I went through my training with a trainer who, you know, on reflection was good in so much as he knew his stuff.
Yeah.
But he was following a rigid program that he was told that he had to follow. And at the end, I think I got about 30 hours into my 40 hours of training. And I just turned around to him one day. I said, look, I know you've given me a huge amount of very, very, very valuable information. My head is literally exploding with all of this newfound knowledge that I've gained. The problem is, I've got no frigging idea how to use it. So what's your situation in terms of where did you start from, in terms of looking at this as a potential career? How did you go about it? How did you find your trainer?
So because I've got friends that are driving instructors, I think it all started from when we were looking to move house, and I was like, do you know what, I just wish I was self-employed, but what can I do? And then I think some of my friends were like, why are you not doing this? Because I enjoy driving, I love meeting people, and I like to have fun with what I'm doing. And I think with my background in finance, I just fell into doing it.
You came from finance?
Yeah, so I still do it, but it's just not me. I kind of left school, fell into doing finance, and then I did a bit of studying, and then I just got finance jobs and just kept going with it. But I never really enjoyed it because, one, it's boring, I'm not going to lie. It's very same old, and I'm just stuck behind a desk all day. And then I think it was just before the lockdown happened, before COVID, I applied. And that took over a year, as you know what that was like. So yeah, for all my checks to come back and whatnot, and my PRN number and all of that. And then one of my friends who's an instructor, she trained with this guy called Ken. And by the way, my instructor, so my friend that's the instructor actually taught me how to drive.
Okay.
And we've been friends ever since.
Oh.
And I had 3 instructors, so I had 3 driving instructors when I was learning, and she was the only one that I actually understood and had fun with.
Mm-hmm.
So then when she sort of recommended this guy, I went with him for my part 2. And I wasn't understanding it with the part 2. I mean, I know it's just driving, but it wasn't the same, because it was just like, his expectations were up here, the examiner's was here, and it was just like, I felt like it was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd come out of the lesson and you'd be like, oh my God, I'm a really shit driver. And I always thought I was a good driver. Started part 3, and it was like, we would have a classroom lesson for 2 hours on, I don't know, roundabouts.
What, just you and him? Or?
No, so there'd be like probably about 5 people in the class, and there'd be a big whiteboard, and then basically go, right, okay, Sonia and blah blah blah, you two go up and teach us roundabouts. I'm like, what? Okay. And you're like, you're on the spot, because you're just like, oh my God, we've only just gone through this, and now you want me to go up there, and I'm like, you know, trying to find the right words and all of that, especially at the beginning of part 3 training, is hard. So then we got through that, and then it would be like, okay, next lesson, I'll text you guys when next lesson is. And for me, like, I need structure, because I have a full-time job, plus I have the kids and everything else going on. You can't just text me as and when.
Yeah,
and
I can't just drop everything.
No, and I did try. I tried so hard. I never cancelled once, and I went to all of them. And it got to a point where, after about, one day we did like 6 hours, and all I was doing, he was sat in the back, and his daughter was due for a test a few weeks later, and basically I was just correcting her driving, and I was like, I'm paying £40 an hour for this, and all I'm doing is correcting her driving. And I'd come home and I'd be like, what did I actually even learn from that? I didn't learn anything.
No.
And I was getting so frustrated, Jeff. It was really, I was just like, I'm paying so much money. It's not just money, but it's the amount of hours of training, because you're thinking about it all the time. You're reading, you're watching, you know, it's a lot. Like, I just feel like I'm going around in a circle. And then, I started searching online, and I come across your program, and I love it. I really enjoy it.
So just as we're driving over to somewhere where we can get a nicer coffee, being completely honest, it's important for me, as a trainer, you're totally straight with me. How's this feeling at the moment?
Really good, and really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Seriously, I would, oh my God, I would not have got this sort of training from who I was using previously. But I like the fact that you have a totally different teaching technique to like the box standard script that I was taught, you know, you were taught previously. And I like that, because it's just more current, it's more with it, you know, like, I feel like the training that I was getting before was really old-fashioned, and it probably did work once upon a time, but I like, when I watch your videos, I like the different techniques that you use. No, thank you for this, Jeff, honestly, because I was so I was getting to that stage where I felt confused, and just like, I wasn't getting the support in the areas that I needed the support, you know? But even like last week, I was having a right meltdown, and when I spoke to you, I think it was Sunday, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But I couldn't put those pieces together myself. Do you know what I mean? I needed you to point it out to me.
Yeah, that's the benefit of years of experience, is that
Yeah.
you're able to synthesize things down and hopefully explain things in a way that is much simpler to understand than, if you like, that old style traditional method of training people that's almost by the book. And it's like, so today we're going to learn this.
No, thank you so much for today, Jeff. Seriously.
Has it been worth the trip?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been good.